Yeah, so we're out here in Milan. We're at the place that I usually play basketball. I know you can't see it, but we'll probably get some like still shots of it after. This is a really good spot. People always come around. It's a bit wet now, so there's not as many people, which is cool because we're just getting some clips of us working out, having conversations. The last time we had a conversation like this, Matthew, we were out in Marbella. We were in Marbella.
It was a vibe.
That was good. That was a good 4 days. We did a little mastermind out there. We're doing our mastermind now. Because the next time you're gonna be in Florida soon, right?
Yeah, Florida officially.
Yeah. He's gonna
be
be
a nomad though. To be fair,
he's gonna be a nomad. He's been talking about this for the last
moving around
12 months. Trying to get out of the military.
Literally last October, I basically said let's do it. Let's go full fucking metal.
Yeah.
But it's been crazy. Transition.
What's that been like though? Because you've been waiting like 12 months and it's finally around the corner. You're like, you get nervous about leaving because you're getting a steady income.
Yeah.
I know you're closing deals on the side, but is there a part of you that's nervous about this transition? Like, what are you thinking?
I mean, I feel like there's always going to be nerves with everything you do.
Okay.
It's a big thing with this too, and you guys have brought it up before. It's like if you see obviously those nerves and you see that as like a challenge, you're ultimately never going to fail.
Sure.
Because regardless of what happens or the outcome based off of it, like, there was a reason why that happened specifically. And your main goal is just to say, okay, like, how did I learn from this?
Yeah.
How did I figure this out? What did I do wrong? Okay?
Yeah.
The big issue is obviously people stop.
Mm-hmm.
They stop once obviously something like that happens.
But it also goes back to a couple of different books and a couple of different laws that kind of say the same thing. And you'll notice this when you read books as well. A lot of them always refer back to the words that you say and the power that they have and what you do, how you think.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of books with psychology are kind of similar, but they're worded differently.
Yeah.
Because Murphy's Law, I mean, the 101 of that is whatever you say negative is typically going to happen. Like 100%. If you're worrying about it and it hasn't happened yet, you're slowly manifesting a reality that just doesn't exist. So that would be my take for you, especially when I came out to Milan first, I'll be honest. Kind of similar to you going to Florida first. It was like, shit, well, I don't exactly have steady income. I'm closing deals or building the business. The business was going through a bit of a transition at that point anyways. So similar to yourself, but you just gotta believe in yourself. You gotta double down on you, because if you're not gonna fully believe in yourself, who else is?
And it's never gonna fucking happen.
Is there anybody jealous of you as well with doing this? I know in the military, you said it's kind of like small-minded the last time.
Yeah, like my office, I'll give them credit. My office, they genuinely they're supportive in front of me.
Okay.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Maybe what happens on the outside, maybe they're not, maybe they're, but you're always gonna have that.
Yeah, you're always gonna have people saying stuff. Yeah.
It's exactly what you brought up in the past. Is like, if you're not gonna start now, when are you gonna start? Because if not, you're gonna be that person that is looking at a 20-year-old kid that's saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and you're gonna tell that person the same thing somebody told you at that age. Yeah. It's like, either you want two sides of the coin, like which one do you want? Which decision do you want to make for yourself?
Do you want to stay in this for the next 40 years, or do you want to try?
Yeah.
Because I say it all the time on this channel, and the reason I'll always say is I want to make it a cliche. If the worst case scenario is you go back to doing what you were doing before, is that really a risk?
No, absolutely not.
So, I mean, cool, maybe you lose out in a couple months of savings or a couple months of earnings, but who's a fuck?
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people don't try in this world.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't even compete. People talk about competition all the time, and 30% of people can't even think for themselves.
And that automatically puts you in a whole different perspective, because there's a lot of people in our space that I talk to, and there's so much uncertainty when they talk, or there's so much negative mindset, I guess you could say. And you brought it up to me before, but I think the biggest thing is the uncertainty of literally actually understanding that, go after it, right? Stop questioning it. You shouldn't, unless if you're going to reach out to someone that's obviously in a position you want to be in, right, and you're asking a very valid question, you have all the answers in your head.
Yeah.
And you do. That is the biggest difference. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest difference, because a lot of times I'll be in a situation where I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I remind myself. I'm like, you know what the fuck you're doing. Stop being a fucking little pussy. Understand your shit.
Because there's no matter what, there's always going to be that side of you that's having that doubt. You need to just train it out of you. Yeah. In a sense, and train that in a way where, no, there's two sides. You're constantly battling with yourself. People talk all the time where it's you versus you, it's you versus your thoughts, it's you versus
every single time
your own limiting beliefs. I remember, it's funny now that you're in Milan, because the last time when we spoke, when I was in Milan, we were talking about closing. Matthew said, "Hey, do you think it's realistic for me to start closing?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Why aren't you doing it right now?
100%.
Like, why don't you do it today? Like, what's wrong with doing it today?"
Yeah.
So
I'll tell
the
you.
next day, he got a military offer.
That didn't go.
The week after, he got an SDR position. The week after that, somebody had said to me, your own manager, Sean, turned around and goes, "What do you think about Matthew Mendoza as a closer?" I was like, "I think he's ready." And if I hadn't had that conversation with you, it wouldn't have happened. Because it wasn't top of mind. That's why that brings another great point, right? A lot of people just don't ask. People message me here and there. Some people don't even message me. I'm like, just, if you need a role, if you need anything, just message me.
Yeah.
Because when you do, even if you say it a couple of times, it's going to be top of mind. So when it comes up, I'm going to be thinking about it, like whether you need a role. Awesome. When somebody comes by, I'm like, okay, this person asked me, I think they're competent enough. I'm going to send them over.
You have the confidence in them.
Yeah, I have the confidence in them. We've already been training them. We've already had conversations with them. They've been following up on me, so I know they're going to follow up on your leads. 100%. Because there's one guy in particular who always messaged me on Twitter, and then a year later, I'm now signing him to build dashboards. Because like as soon as I needed a dashboard, I was like, shit, this guy's top of mind because he's been on top of me before it. So if he's been doing that much with me, I'm sure he's been doing dashboards for others, which he was. He was doing dashboards for some of the biggest guys in sales in the game. So it just goes to show.
Let me ask you, like, how do you feel in a position that you're at where you're in the transitional, like, you're basically obviously managing a majority of different companies, right? You're doing a lot on the other end, but then you're also semi-closing as well.
Yeah.
How does it feel, the whole transition? And I feel like what's maybe the one bit of advice you have for people that do want to obviously start managing after being a closer? You know what I'm saying?
Good question. I think when you say I'm closing now, I'm just doing founder sales, so like it's my own business.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's much easier to close for your own business all the time. It's always so much easier. Boy, management and sales and being a closer is two different skill sets. And the majority of salespeople go through this route where perhaps it's a bit slow at the beginning, 3, 4, 5 months, you're not making that much money, or maybe a month, whatever your timeline looks like. You start SDRing, you maybe make 1, 2, 3K a month.
Yeah.
You turn into a closer, all of a sudden you're like, shit, you're going from 2, 3K a month making 8, 10, some people 15. And because you're getting such a rapid growth in such a short period of time, your reality and your experience tells you that this should continue, but it's not going to.
Yeah.
Typically within the same role, unless you have more hours in the day, if you're going to get rid of your weekends, there's only so many calls you can take with that specific role. So people think, hey, will I change role? Like try into a manager? And most people choose to go into a manager, and the reason they suck at managing is different compared to closing. The closing deals, you're talking to people. In managing, you're just managing emotions.
Yep.
You're just predicting how somebody will feel on a certain day, sending them that message.
Yeah.
Like I've got to the point now where I'll know if somebody's thinking about a different offer. I'll know where somebody's thinking about changing position. I'll know when somebody's super happy with it, or I'll know when to give an incentive, or I'll know when to motivate the team. So it's been an interesting transition, and I like management, I like building teams, but I'm going to talk about this a lot at the actual mastermind itself, because a lot of people try to take on way too many things at the same time, and it just fucks you over. Right? You have a full-time role, you have part-time closing on the side. Was there ever an instance where you thought, hey, I want to maybe do something else on top? Did you ever think about that? Hey, I want to start my own business, I want to do 1, 2, 3?
Obviously starting the offer for the video editing and then videography as well.
Did that period where you started thinking about doing that, did that hinder your sales closing percentage? Did that hinder how you felt more?
That entire time frame, I was not closing any deals. That entire time frame, I was overthinking every single conversation I had. Yeah. And then obviously like my personal like habits and those things that I've been trying to obviously get rid of, that also played a part. Mm-hmm. So then I was trying to look for an out by saying, oh, I can have an editing service, I can have an editing offer and all that. And I'm still going to do that, but that's like,
it's a different timeline.
That's a different timeline, and I understand that now. Mm-hmm. So the moment I stopped doing that, my conversations with people, I was like, okay.
I'm glad that you realized that, because I'm going to talk heavily on this at the event. I think it's the main thing I'm going to speak about, so you're getting a little bit of a precursor. But the main skill that I've always talked about on my channel has always been sales. Because sales is kind of my outlet. You know, I was in McDonald's from 16 to 19. I was in college, a degree that I didn't like. I got into sales. That gave me my outlet to travel the world. But I think the number one skill in 2024 is judgment. Like, where do you spend your time?
Yep.
Who do you spend it with? when you're working on those things, are you doing 4 things at the same time? Because if it's 4 businesses, it's 4 marketing materials, it's 4 offers, it's 4 different clients, it's 4 different ways of getting leads, it's 4 different price points, it's 4 different downsells, it's 4 different companies, it's 4 different sets of staff, it's 4 different cultures, 4 different types of people. And the more you talk about that, you're like, fuck. Would you not rather just do one, or would you rather try to do multiple at the same time? You know what I mean?
100%.
So 100%. I think that's the main thing I've learned since the last time we had a conversation. And you're going to see more in the event, because our company went from 10, 14 a month, and I think in Q3, one of the companies that we're working with closed just under $500,000. It's like, when you cut out all the shit in between, you're like, fuck. Focus is the key thing. Steve Jobs talks about all the time. He's like, look, focus is the ability to say no 1,000 times to good ideas, to focus on your one great idea.
Yeah, and let me ask you, with all this that we have and everybody coming out to Milan and all that, you were obviously, look, a year ago, 2 years ago, the whole transition.
Yep.
How do you feel knowing that you literally brought an entire community to an entirely new place that you would never expected unless if you obviously took that step?
Yep.
How are the feelings? How's the emotion of like this whole weekend coming?
You know, I'm actually just super excited. It's been something that we've been talking about for a long time, so I think it's just naturally kind of come into place, and it's at a good time, because we were thinking about doing it a while back.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the perspective of how some other good events were run, what they did, what they didn't do well. And like, shit, we're doing our own event, we're getting like 40 AST lads out. It's really fun. It's really good. I'm so grateful because we have like 40 people, and honestly like 25 people that are there are like core AST members.
100%.
So just super grateful. I think we spoke it into fruition, and it just goes to show who we are, because we did this for free for literally 8 months. We went to a super low ticket subscription. Now it's a bit higher, but for education I think it's pretty cheap compared to the regular route. And I think the goal is just to keep growing it, and it's just a passion project of us. I think I want to train 10,000 salespeople over the next 5 years. We've already trained 1,200.
Yeah.
So like, why can't we do that? So overall, just feeling grateful. How do you feel? He's been with us literally since the start. When he was cold calling in Kuwait on deployment, he was cold calling in a tent for a couple hours a day. What's from your perspective? What have you seen? What are you happy with? Like, I mean, 25-year boys that you're doing mock calls with each week, that you're doing training with, are also here as well. From your perspective,
it's just incredible. Never what I expected to link up with some Irish lads out of all of the things in the world, to be close to some really cool people. But I remember that time specifically out in Kuwait, I had so much time on my hands, and I was just like, something's got to come out of this. Bradley talked with Josh when they did the whole podcast, and that's how I got into this. But then, I mean, to see the transition from there all the way up to now, I brought it up before, and you've obviously posted it before about like, it's you learn more things on the outside of sales than you do on the inside of sales. And ultimately then you end up growing. So it's just it's nothing but a blessing. It's nothing but a blessing.
Because a wise man once said, working on yourself both spiritually, mentally, and physically, you're always going to grow your income much quicker than the next AI tool out there that's going to record your calls and give you feedback.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's why in AC it's more focused on like predicting your future, getting mentally fit. Because like, we're here in Milan, we could have just said, oh no, we're just gonna record in the balcony, smoke some cigars and call it a day. We're like, no, we're gonna get a quick pump in, we're gonna get a quick workout in. Always work on yourself first, and then the fruits of your labor comes through. So
absolutely.
Like, this is day 32 and 75 day hard, so it's
earn your Saturdays.
Gotta keep it going.
Earn your Saturdays.
It's a good little check-in. I think we're going to do this every 6 months. I can already see it on the YouTube video. He's grown his YouTube out as well. I really liked your recent video.
It's going to be good.
What was the name of the video?
We're telling a story, unscripted. I like the intro. So I'm going to plug Matthew's YouTube. We're probably going to do these updates every 6 months or so when we have some other events. Matthew comes out and he records all of them as well. So if you like the YouTube videos, he's recording most of them. The Instagram posts, I'm telling you now, Matthew is the choreographer. So if you see all those Instagram posts, you see all those YouTube videos, it's Matthew. Give him a follow him on, or subscribe to him on YouTube. And until next time. Pleasure.
Ciao, ciao. This is about 15 minutes.